Okay, everybody. Hi, thanks for joining our DNA call tonight. Let's talk DNA with Jennifer Casey, Mike Keenan, and Kerry Arbutina on our panel. And we just wanted to bring this to you because there's a lot of you that have purchased the DNA and you do not know what you're doing with that DNA test. So we kind of want to go through and show you how you can read your DNA. And if you are looking to purchase a DNA, this might give you a little bit of an insight what it's going to do to help you. So we're going to make this kind of a round table type thing. If you have questions, we're going to have you put them in the chat, and then we will answer the questions after we've kind of gone through it a little bit. So I'm just going to have a little bit of an introduction. My name is Cindy DiPaoli. I'm an executive director with IDLife. I live in Royersford, Pennsylvania. I'm a mother of 3, grandmother of 8, and a great-grandmother of 1, and a 10-year breast cancer survivor. And I have worked in the health and wellness space for 40 years, and I am a certified IIN health coach and a holistic entrepreneur, like a lot of us on this call. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm going to pass it to Jennifer so she can tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Casey. I am an executive director with IDLife, and I am a personal trainer, a genetics-based fitness coach, a certified nutritionist, as well as a mother of 4. And I've lost 90 pounds and kept it off with our fabulous IDLife products. I think that's about it.
Okay.
So Mike.
Pass it to Mike.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to the call. My name is Mike Keenan. I'm the owner of Core Cage Fitness in Manasquan, New Jersey. I have over 40 years in the health industry, health and wellness. Started out in physical therapy and athletic training, and eventually moved more into medical fitness, which is what my business is mostly about. I have 2 beautiful kids, and I'm married, live down here at the Jersey Shore. So we have some really great information we're going to share with you tonight. So let's pass it off to Kerry Arbutina.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing much better now. So I'm an executive director with my husband and I, Nick Arbutina, are executive directors with IDLife. We're founding members, and I'm a mother of 2. I was a personal trainer for over 20 years. I am a certified yoga instructor and certified Reiki master. And IDLife has not only saved me once with medical issues, but now twice. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So we're going to have Jen go over a DNA and show you a little bit about how it can help you, and go through like the vitamins and things like that through the pages. So Jen, if you can do that for us, please.
Sure. I'm going to pull up a actual DNA report. It's my husband's, who's also on this call somewhere. So we're just going to go over the overview, and then Kerry and Mike are going to jump in and give you some other insights as well. So we're all going to tag team here. So I'm going to pull it up. Let's see. And hit share. Okay, so can everybody see my screen here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first couple pages in the DNA report, let's see. It's not moving. Okay, so the first couple pages, if you have your DNA report with you, starting on page 4, the first couple pages are just an overview. So that's kind of what we're going to go over tonight. And then Kerry and Mike will dive a little bit deeper for us. So the first page, the first thing you're going to say is inflammation. Are you normal or are you increased risk? So inflammation is normal if you have an injury or something like that, but too much inflammation can be a bad thing. Too much inflammation can lead to heart disease, diabetes, obesity, all those kind of things. So things you want to stay away from if you are, especially if you're at increased risk, are added sugars, refined carbs, fried foods, and you want to increase your omega-3s. That's what's super important here. Next, we're looking at your vitamins. So one thing, if you have done your health assessment before or even after you've done your DNA, there's a place to link it in your health assessment. So what you would look at in regards to health assessment are what your vitamins came back. So vitamin A, this one has standard requirements. Vitamin D has normal levels. Vitamin E has standard requirements. And on this report, B6, folate, and vitamin B12 all came back with increased requirements. So with B6, if you're feeling tired or fatigued throughout the day, probably because this person is low B6. Increased requirements of folate, and you could increase these in your foods as well as the vitamins. What we're looking at with folate is the MTHFR gene, which I'm gonna have Kerry and Mike talk about in a minute. And B12 increased requirements as well. So we'll go back to that. Muscle performance, this one came back as a sprinter, so better with doing sprint activities versus endurance activities. So short bursts of exercise, such as like high intensity interval training, kickboxing, Zumba, those kind of things where you're getting your heart rate up and then you rest. You get your heart rate up and then you rest. Next is fat loss with exercise. And this is, with this portion, you're looking more at strength training. So my husband came back most efficient with strength training. He needs strength training in his weekly routine. So also in this section, you would also look at like Pilates and yoga, like body weight training as well. Next is aerobic potential. Aerobic potential came back high. This is the amount of oxygen that you're taking in while you're working out. This is your VO2 max. Ways to increase your VO2 max are by doing high intensity interval training type workouts, or like running up a hill, doing the rowing machine where you're getting your heart rate up and taking in more oxygen. Next is injury risk. So moderate risk of injury. What we look at here is the Achilles. So you want to make sure if you are at moderate risk or high risk that you are stretching really good before and after your workouts. You're replacing your shoes before they're completely worn out. And you're avoiding activities like running downhill, basketball, volleyball, tennis, those kind of things will put you more at risk of tearing your Achilles. Okay. Next is recovery. Jim came back medium recovery. So he is more likely to have delayed onset soreness 12 to 72 hours after a really tough workout. So things like, again, warming up before your workout, stretching really good before and after, foam rolling to lengthen those muscles, and drinking lots of water also helps with recovery. All right, so next is body weight, weight regain, and appetite. I feel like these all kind of like go hand in hand. So he came back a high susceptibility to obesity, high risk of rebound weight gain, and high risk of overeating. For those of you who know my husband, he is pretty tall and lean. He eats fairly healthy. He exercises fairly regularly. He's very active with baseball, and he's never had trouble with his weight ever. However, if he was sedentary and not working out as much, if he was not eating as healthy as he is more likely to gain weight, have trouble losing it, and regain it after he loses it. So these kind of like all go hand in hand. Next, let's scroll down. Impulsive eating, normal risk, which is good. Bitter taste. I think this is this is a funny one. Sometimes it could go either way. I'll ask my clients, do they like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, those kind of things? Do you usually eat those or do you usually avoid those? And it kind of goes back and forth. So basically this is saying, if you don't like those foods, instead of adding sugar or salt to them, try lemons, limes, and herbs to flavor them, because these are good vegetables for you and they have good nutrients. You should be eating them. So try flavoring them with lemons, limes, and herbs. Cholesterol, usually I wait until later to go over because it's a little more involved than most of these like overviews. Carbohydrates. So he came back high sensitivity to carbs, low sensitivity to fat. So he would be somebody that would be a better candidate for a keto-ish type diet. With carbs, you still want to focus on eating healthy carbs. So brown rice, quinoa, any vegetables, any fruit that you want. Sweet potatoes are great, oatmeal, those kind of things. You still need good, healthy carbs in your diet. As for fats, he has a low sensitivity to fat, so he could actually have more fats in his diet, but still sticking to healthy fats, olive oil, coconut oil, avocados, avocado oil, nuts, nut butters, those kind of things, and reducing your saturated fats like butter, vegetable oil, fried foods, those kind of things. Next is lactose, and he came back lactose tolerant, so he should be able to enjoy dairy with little to no discomfort, which is good. Caffeine, he has a low sensitivity to caffeine, so he could have actually up to 400 milligrams or 4 cups of coffee per day. He's one of those people that could drink coffee right before bed and still get a good night's sleep. I'm the complete opposite. I have a high sensitivity to caffeine, so I make sure I have my 1 cup in the morning and I'm good to go. And alcohol flush, I explain, like that person that you see at the bar that their face gets beet red, they have increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, headaches, those kind of things. And prolonged alcohol flush can actually cause some cancers. So I'm going to turn it over to Kerry. Kerry has some experience with the MTHFR gene, and I'll scroll down to that page for you, Kerry. No, it's black right now. Hang on. You could talk while
I'm so IDLife tests for 2 of the markers of the MTHFR gene. Honestly, when I had my DNA done when it first came out, I did not even pay attention to the MTHFR gene because I didn't think it mattered to me or affected me. However, what the MTHFR gene does in the body. So basically, it turns on and off all your genes. So with having the MTHFR gene, well, what I should back up, the methylation process does is it helps detox the body. It regulates metabolism, it synthesizes DNA, produces energy, regulates hormones, and it's also the mood regulator. And it is also the happy hormone and the stress hormone. So they're finding out that people that have tempers or they fluctuate, it is a very good chance that it's due to them having one or both of the MTHFR genes. Another important thing with the MTHFR gene, which I didn't realize this until doing more research, is that it actually helps with producing the B6, B9, and B12. A lot of times people think, well, it's not a big deal if I'm low in these vitamins. However, when you are low in these vitamins, you have a higher what's called homocysteine. Yeah. And what homocysteine is that is a direct link to inflammation in the body. Higher homocysteine has been shown it's linked to coronary artery disease, stroke, heart disease, osteoporosis, and also the high homocysteine has been shown to be the direct link to heart disease and heart attacks. And so Do you want me to just go over this real quick?
Mhm.
Okay, so basically here, trying to scroll down. So you'll see vitamin A, they're good. They're standard requirements. Hope you're scrolling. Jennifer, is that you scrolling it?
I'm trying to get down to the MTHFR, like that page, but it's black
Okay.
for some reason.
Okay,
So I
that's
was just
okay.
keeping
So,
on the vitamins.
okay, so just a couple other things with that, having the MTHFR gene processing folic acid in your body. And if you have one or both of the MTHFR genes, your body's not able to process folic acid. So you need to make sure that you're getting your folic acid in the methyl form, which IDLife has it in the methyl form. With it being in the methyl form, the body is able to process it and utilize it. Unlike most other companies out there, it's too expensive to put it in. Know that they need to be getting the, so been shown to be the direct cause of miscarriages, or if you've explained gene, I started he's suggesting, and then so I found out I was a big deal. But this for the MTHFR gene, the other marker, when you have the MTHFR ill last year, had hold in my body. For those of you that are unfamiliar with that, I was tested, hair follicle test done, but I had the MRI contrast done back in March. So into September and October, I had high nickel, high tin, and I had high cholesterol and high homocysteine. So if you do, is high that they suggest that you do if you have the MTHFR gene on your.
Good. You want me to jump in at this point, Jen?
Yes, please. My internet
Okay.
is not good on my computer. I don't know why. Jim could hear it on the patio, but
Okay.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, for whatever reason, down here at the Jersey Shore, I don't have any Wi-Fi, so I'm lucky that my phone's operating well. Kerry, you nailed it. I mean, you hit all the hot points. The one thing that I look at, I'll hit a little bit of what you just talked about. I'll kind of wrap it up with a little bit of the exercise model as well, because that's also part of the DNA test. When my clients come to me, the first thing I do with them, obviously, is I put them through a detoxification program, which you can learn a lot about here at IDLife. And then they do their DNA. So once the DNA comes back, we look at the recommended assessment, because the two tests combined are going to tell you about your blueprint, and the online assessment that you'll be given, or you've taken, or you will be taking, tells you a little bit more about your diet and lifestyle and so forth. So with regards to that, the three things that I see a lot with my clients is they come back with a high increased risk of inflammation. So that's kind of like strike one. Then they have issues with their B vitamins, and we know how that affects the neurological system. If the neurological system, your body's being affected, everything's affected, because that's your message center. That's the brains of the organization, the computer that runs all the systems. If that's not if that's not functioning optimally, nothing's going to. And with regards to high increased inflammation due to homocysteine, well, now that's strike two. And then you add in the sensitivity to carbohydrate. Well, that's kind of strike three right there. So you're someone who is at a much higher risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and so forth. So a lot of my clients, when they come back with those three things, okay, it's also indicative that their body probably likes to burn fat as a primary fuel source. So if they're putting a lot of carbohydrate into their body wants to convert that carbohydrate to fat because it wants to burn fat. Now, I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's how the body works. So if you could start to remove some of the processed sugars, the refined carbohydrates, alcohol, that sort of thing, that's going to do a lot to lower the inflammation load on your body. And as Jed pointed out earlier, avoiding certain fats, whether you're sensitive to fats or not, we really shouldn't be eating any fried foods because of the oil that they fry it in. They find the cheapest oil they could possibly find to fry food. And those are all pro-inflammatory compounds. So even if you're not sensitive to fat, but you eat a lot of fried foods in your diet, or you use corn oil or vegetable oil or saturated fats. You know, I'd rather see someone using butter than using margarine because of the type of fat that's in it. You know, our body's nothing but a big giant barcode reader. And if you start putting things in like margarine, some of these altered fats, your body doesn't recognize them. And what does the body want to do? It wants to take it, store it in a globule of fat for later. So you're actually promoting, you know, weight gain by eating fats that, you know, supposedly, you know, won't increase cholesterol. You have to look at the whole impact on the body. Now, one of the things that we looked at too in the DNA test is your muscle fiber type, whether you're speed and power, mixed, or endurance. Okay. What do we know? We know that people who are speed and power should be doing high intensity interval style training. They should be training with weights because what happens with them is they have a really good response to very short, intense bouts of exercise and the lactic acid that's formed. And what do we know about lactic acid? Lactic acid is nothing more than a neurotransmitter that allows the brain to identify that the work that's being done can no longer be continued for a long period of time. And it hits the hypothalamus, starts a cascading down of all our healing compounds, our growth hormone, testosterone, and there's about 30 other tissue repair hormones. So someone who is a speed and power individual typically doesn't tolerate long, slow endurance type activities because it prolongs that lactic acid response. Short terms of lactic acid are very, very good for the body. They actually help to limit or decrease inflammation, but long term is going to start to break that individual down. And I'm sure with Jen and Cindy and Kerry here, they can all attest to the fact that we've had people walk into our office who say, you know, I'm out jogging with my friends. They're all looking great. I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm not losing weight, and I feel miserable, and I'm hungry all the time. And then we do their DNA and we realize their speed and power and that they just can't handle that metabolic load of doing long endurance type activities. So you want to steer that person towards doing more interval style training. And again, following the diet. And of course, things we talk about, hydration and sleep, all go hand in hand. So the DNA test is a great tool. If you're on this call today, someone who invited you to be on the call, or if you're part of our team, you know that you have a lot of help out there in deciphering the test. So I know we touched on a couple key items, and I know I speak very quickly. What I just did with you usually takes me about a half hour to explain to my clients, but I just want you to understand that it's a very, very valuable tool. The information in it is essential to your health and wellness. And if you follow it, you will start to see positive change. So with that, I want to thank you for inviting me to be part of the panel tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Does anybody have any questions? Do you want to, there's not many people here, so if you want to just raise your hand, I can see all of you and can ask your question. Any questions? No? Oh, Pat, go ahead. Unmute yourself, Pat.
I noticed on mine, on the folate, it says slightly increased requirements. So it says you have a version of the MTHFR gene, which results in slightly reduced folate metabolism. I do have folate in my vitamin packs, but would I be a candidate to look into that extra MTHFR DNA test?
I think so.
I would think so, Pat, because I think you took the first DNA kits that were out that did not have it in. The newer ones do have it in, I believe now. But yeah, go ahead, Kerry.
I was going to say, according to Mark, even if you don't have the first MTHFR gene, you could still have one or both of the second gene, that the second marker that they're testing for. So even if yours, even for anybody that doesn't have any problems with metabolizing folic acid, it's more, more the next two, the other marker that they test for, you can have that without having a marker for the first MTHFR gene.
Does this report that I have of mine, does that mean that I have one of the markers?
Yes, yes. If you
Okay.
have a slight increase, yes.
Yeah,
I-
well, it says you have a version of the MTHFR gene, which results in slightly reduced folate metabolism.
Yes.
So,
Mm.
okay, I'll have to look into doing the second test.
I will say,
On my original DNA, I didn't have anything, but when I took the add-on, I have one of the markers. So if you just took the original, you might want to take the second one just to see.
I had a conversation with Matt Chalmers the other night with regards to this, because I didn't come positive on the first, I came positive on the second test, the subsequent test. And he assured me that if you're on the B complex and the methylfolate, you don't have to take the second test because it won't matter. Even if you have it, you're still going to do the same thing. He says the formulation from IDLife covers all your bases. He said, don't even worry about it. And that came right from Dr. Chalmers. So I think, Pat, if
Don't do the second one.
you really don't have to, because
Okay.
you already know the information. It's like you already know you have it. So as long as you're using the B complex and the methylfolate, like you said, you should have no issues at all.
I don't think I do the B complex, so I probably should add that to.
You do, because he said, adding the B6. B6 is required for the absorption of B12, and it's a very simple fix, he said.
Okay.
It looks like Lucy Leanne has a question. She's asking about, I have the same information as on my folate page. How long ago did the DNA kit change, and are there any data points that they have added? It changed last year, right? I don't remember the date exactly, but.
Yeah, about a year ago, I think we added the second MTHFR test.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
What, Julie?
A question about the way the new DNA test comes out, because I just went over one of my tests this past week, and the MTHFR markers look the same. So the new ones that they did, are they showing up as still part of the original indicators? Because I didn't see any new like springs or any new points that section.
I can hardly hear her. I don't know.
Yeah, you're breaking up on us, Julie.
Sorry about that.
There,
Hold on
that's
a
better,
second.
Julie.
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Two speakers
sorry.
make a better difference? Okay, so again, I went over one at the DNA test with a new client this past week who has the new test that came out. I didn't see any new additional MTHFR markers on her test. So the new SNPs that they did, or the new ones that they tested, are they internally part of the same answers that you see on that report?
It's in your raw data in the back. You know that page that has all the different tests that are done? If you look there, you will see the 1298, you will see the 677 listed separately. In the new,
So it only shows up in the back then, not on the overview section.
no, it won't, because if you do have it, it'll appear in the summary. But if you don't have either marker, then it'll come back as normal limits.
Okay. So just going back to my sister's question about additional markers, and you just covered it, Mike, saying that if she had any differentials to begin with, and she's doing the B complex and the folate, then she wouldn't need to take that additional test either.
Right, and Only reason a bunch of us took the second test is because we took the original DNA and it came back negative. So when they offered us the new test with the additional marker, it only made sense that a lot of us took it because we came back normal. Now here's an opportunity to find out, well, now it's going to look a little deeper. We'll take a deeper dive. We'll find out if I have that additional marker, and I did. But I've had people who have taken the test and that came back normal. So they're normal. They didn't have any deficiencies at all.
My second test was dated November of 21. So somewhere around October, November, the new kit came out. So if you got your DNA before that, you don't have the second part.
That's correct.
That's good info. Thanks, Barb. Yeah. And now
I
I
have a
see
question.
that she is your sister because you guys look so much alike. I wasn't sure who that was.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lucy.
So in looking at my genetic results page, and I'm looking under that MTHFR 677, and it has most common, it is double G, and then the result is a GA. And Julie, you might have covered this when we went through it, but I don't know what that means exactly. Where it has GA as a result, and the most common is GG.
And is it yellow?
Yes.
Yeah, it means you have a slight variation in that marker. Yeah, go ahead.
And well, I was just gonna say, so if you see the colors on there, if it's green, that means like, that's normal. That's the most common result. If it's yellow, it's slightly increased. If it comes back red there, that's increased requirements or,
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
What were you gonna say? Sorry to interrupt you, Mike.
No, I was going to say, one of the things that I almost insist all my clients do is they take a B complex. I think everyone should be, because unless you're sitting down eating copious amounts of green plant food, you're just not getting enough B vitamin in your diet. Excuse me. There was a time and place where there was no such thing as processed food. And a lot of our ancestors had to eat that volume of food just to survive. So yeah, I would definitely, with all my clients, I insist that they take a B complex regardless of their test results. It's just that beneficial.
That's good. Does anybody else have any questions? I thought there'd be more questions in this. No? Okay. Well, we kind of wanted to focus on that if you've taken your test and you haven't used your $100 coupon yet, or your $20 with the DNA detox promo that just came out. It depends which way you bought your DNA. Make sure that you do this within 6 months of your purchase, because that coupon will go away. And where it is when you take your assessment, when you go to check out, it will take your $100 off or your $20 off. That's how that works.
And you want to make sure that when you're going on to take your health assessment, you are signing in with the username and password that you created when you bought your DNA kit. And that's how the coupon code is going to show up at the end. It's not in an email or anything like that. Just make sure that you're signing on with your username and password that you created when you bought your DNA kit.
Right, your IDLife customer account. So that's a good thing to know. And if you're a customer on here too, and you have a customer account, this is another good thing to know. You have a customer link. Make sure that if you're sharing IDLife with any of your friends, use your customer link. It's going to give you $10 in loyalty points, and it will give your friend $10 off their first purchase. They have to be a first-time customer.
Does that happen automatically, Cindy?
Yeah, like if they give them their customer link, and they hit and they purchase, they get $10 when they go to check out, it'll be there. And then the $10 goes over to that customer in their loyalty points. And that's really nice. And they can do that as many times as they want. And then the person that they share that with, and they have a customer link now too, to share with other people. But it's only, you can only do it to a first-time customer. So
Cool.
for that. And I don't know, Mike, if you want to, do you want to share anything about any of the products, or are you good?
I just, I think, along with the DNA, I think I can't emphasize, doing the detox box, because it really does.
Oh, his internet's acting up. Oh, darn. Frozen.
I know he said he was having internet troubles tonight.
Yeah.
Help us to absorb the nutrients, organs of detoxification.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. Are you there?
And it's cutting in now.
Tim's froze. I think it's his hotspot now. Yeah, now he muted himself. He's trying to tell us that the detox box is a good way to go into. Oh, now I cut out.
I think he also wanted to say that as you're detoxing, if you're taking your ID nutrition, you're going to absorb it much better while doing the detox and afterwards. I think that's what he was trying to say, but
Right.
cutting out.
Yeah. He gave a lot of good info tonight.
Yeah.
So I really want to thank everybody for jumping on this call, and we're going to, it's recorded. So we're going to put it out there so you guys can share it. Jen's going to have to put it on the page, and then
Put it on the team page.
yeah, and possibly, I don't know if you have a YouTube, we can put it on that then too, or I can put it on mine or whatever somehow.
Sure.
So, okay. Any other questions before we go? You want to hit the recording off, Jen? You guys?
Well, I feel like I learned something new, a couple things.
Okay.
But I hope everyone learned something.
Yeah. I learned that, Jen, hit the recording off.
I'm trying. Hang on.
Okay.
Stop recording.